This video provides a short introduction to theological anthropology. One of the most influential authors in the genre is Marc Cortez. His Theological Anthropology, a guide for the perplexed, is an excellent resource to better understand the positions and debates amongst various authors. Cortez defines theological anthropology as theological reflection on the human person. In addition to reflection on God, it encompasses humanity's relationship with creation, sexuality, free will, personhood, the body-soul relationship, living in community, issues of culture, race, class, or economy. While these are important areas, the list could be extended almost indefinitely. Cortez writes that many of the theories attempt to provide some perspective on recent developments in neuroanatomy, neurophysiology, and the cognitive sciences. This video primarily focuses on the mind-body-soul debate from a Christian perspective. All of the theories expressed in this video are in contrast to idealism, which generally defines reality as spirit or consciousness. The following theories are also in contrast to Gnosticism, which is often understood as the claim that the material must be rejected and that the soul and the body remain completely separate substances. The theories in this video are also in contrast to ontological reductionism, which is sometimes also referred to as materialism, naturalism, or physicalism. One of the most famous quotes typifying reductionism can be found in Francis Crick's The Astonishing Hypothesis. In this book, Crick argues that you, your joys and your sorrows, your memories and your ambitions, your sense of personal identity and free will, are in fact no more than the behavior of a vast assembly of nerve cells and their associated molecules. As Lewis Carroll might have phrased it, you're nothing but a pack of neurons. Two critiques of reductionism are the thinking of persons as a pack of neurons dismisses how each one of us is also defined very much through our relationship with others or with God. Seeing people or their brains in isolation is a mistake. Another critique is that in the last 50 to 60 years, with the discovery of dark energy and dark matter, at best we understand 5% of the universe. And with recent discoveries in quantum mechanics, we now know that creation is even more mysterious and wondrous than ever before. To think that we can fully explain the human brain, the human person, or the cosmos with such limited knowledge is extreme speculation. Many of the different theologians who reflect on theological anthropology draw from the witness of the early church to the bodily resurrection of Jesus. Some theologians argue that after we die, that we figuratively sleep until the final bodily resurrection, as described in 1 Corinthians 15. Other theologians argue for an intermediate state, which is the belief that there is a disembodied state where we exist in the presence of God after the time of death and before a bodily resurrection. This state is sometimes referred to as purgatory or Sheol. To support a belief in the intermediate state, some authors refer to the appearance of Elijah and Moses at the Transfiguration, the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, or the appearance of Samuel's ghost to Saul. There are also various different theories on how the Israelites understood the concepts such as ruach, often translated as spirit, nefesh, often translated as soul, and lev, which is often translated as heart or mind. There's also considerable disagreement about whether humans are of one substance, understood as monism, or two, understood as dualism, where we have both a body and a soul. Two Christian arguments for monism are the constitution view and non-reductive physicalism. Kevin Corcoran's constitution view argues that human persons are constituted by our bodies without being identical with bodies. An example to describe his position is the dollar bill. A dollar bill is composed of paper, ink, and other chemicals. However, what gives a dollar bill meaning is how it exists in relationship to humans, who give it value and purpose. Even while Corcoran advocates that humans are composed of matter and nothing else, they can still have value and worth in the eyes of God. More on his position can be found in Rethinking Human Nature, a Christian materialist alternative to the soul. Non-reductive physicalists guard a belief in God, freedom, and morality, yet do not believe in the existence of a soul. This position argues that humans have only one substance, but that a higher being that is non-reductive supervenes upon us. Two of the strongest advocates for non-reductive physicalism are Nancy Murphy and Warren Brown. Through neuroscience, Nancy Murphy argues that it is enlightening to see how many of these capacities which Thomas attributed to the soul are now studied by neurobiologists. One of Nancy Murphy's books is Bodies and Souls or Spirited Bodies. Another of her books, Did My Neurons Make Me Do It?, is co-authored with Warren Brown. Many Christians find denying the soul deeply counter to Scripture and tradition. The belief that we have a body and a material soul is known as dualism. One form of dualism is known as Cartesian dualism. The 17th century philosopher René Descartes believed that the pineal gland was the seat of the soul. Today, many neuroscientists and theologians agree that there is no single part of the brain that is responsible for spirituality, religion, or connection to God. Rather than a particular God spot, how all the different parts of the brain and body work together is vastly important to our faith. Other advocates of dualism are J.P. Moreland and Brandon Rickabaugh. Their recent book, The Substance of Consciousness, devotes an entire section to neuroscience. Another dualist position is William Hasker's emergent dualism. Hasker argues for both body and soul as separate substances, with the soul emerging from the functioning of the physical body. In other words, the view that persons are distinct from, though generated by their organisms, arguing for both body and soul as separate substances. You can learn more about his position in his book, The Emergent Self. John Cooper's holistic dualism combines the soul-matter holism of the Thomistic tradition to also advocate for an intermediate state. His use of the word holism partly derives from his belief that Old Testament scripture points toward a more holistic view of the body, soul, and spirit. More can be found in his Body, Soul, and Life Everlasting. This video has provided only several theories, while there are many others such as those by Joel Green or John Polkinghorne. If you're interested in more examples of different theological anthropologies, one of the most extensive recent texts with chapters on various competing positions is the Blackwell Companion to Substance Dualism. Amongst the diverse and often competing monist and dualist positions, Marc Cortez provides an important warning. Too much focus on how we might be created can run the risk of ignoring why we are created, to love God and love our neighbors as ourselves. Cortez warns that too much emphasis on what we are risks losing sight of who we are. He writes that the primary anthropological question in the Bible is not the what question, but the who question. Who is the human person? On this question, the Bible speaks with remarkable clarity. The human person is the one God determined to create in his image and likeness to be bearers of his presence in the world. No matter how we are created, or whatever the afterlife may be for us, what is most important in this life is to love God, to love our neighbors, and to love ourselves, for God is love.